Hey y'all, Biohack here. This is the next episode of our free-to-play Mystery Shard series, but in this episode I wanted to do something a little bit special, which is talk to you about one of the most reliable and accessible ways to get legendary books as a free-to-play or low-spend player. I want to talk to you about my strategy for doing it and how you can use this to get multiple legendary books every single month. And of course, what I'm talking about is taking advantage of the champion training events. This event probably happens honestly about once a week or so, and it offers some of the best rewards of any of the events, including what is a very, very common reward, which is exactly what we see right here, which is an Immortal Soul Stone at about the 11,000 point mark and a Legendary Tome around the 12,000 point mark. I feel like these things, if I recall correctly, Legendary Tome is anywhere typically between 10,000 and 12,000, or maybe 14, I think, at the most, for that Legendary Tome. But they do these events all the time. I think the last one was, I want to say, like maybe 8 or 9 days ago. And I picked up a Legendary Tome on that one too, and now we've got another one here, and I want to talk to you about the strategy I use to make sure that you do it every time. The thing about this event is it's a very, very easy event to do, and you don't have to spend any energy actually working on it during the event, but it's one that you kind of have to put a lot of prep into. And, like, so, like, basically I kind of generate or like build my whole play strategy actually around doing this event. So the way I do it is essentially we're going to use brews to level up all of our champions, and we won't have to do any actual farming to get any points. So I want to talk to you about how to use brews and like what the most efficient way to do it is. So I went ahead and made this spreadsheet here, which let's see if I can pull it up. Bam, right here. Okay, is that really tiny? It is really tiny. Let's see if I can make it a little bigger. Sorry for the blinding white. Here we go. Okay, so what do we have here? Essentially what I've plotted out is essentially the level you get after adding a brew to a certain rank champion, the amount of points you get for the champion training for getting a level in that rank, and then what the like next brew will get you in terms of points. So I've highlighted the important breakpoints here in green, which is essentially the number of brews I typically use on these different ranks of champions to get the most efficiency out of the brews. So what we have here is essentially if you put one brew into a rank 1 champion, you'll get level 9. I never do this for rank 1 because a rank 2 champion putting one brew in will get you level 10. Both level 1 and level 2 give you 1 point per level. So a rank 2 champion with one brew, that brew is worth 10 points. Now, I honestly never really use rank 2 champions for this either, but I kind of use that as a baseline. Like, I'm never going to brew someone lower than getting at least 10 points per brew, because if I'm going to do that, I might as well put it in a 2-star. However, the problem with using 2-stars and prepping a bunch of 2-stars is they just take up way too much space in your like vault as you're leveling food throughout the week while you're waiting for the next champ training event. Instead, I tend to accumulate a vast number of 3-star champions. So I'm going to swap back over to Raid real quick, and I'm going to show you what my account looks like. First off, we take a few of them up to level 30. I say a few. I've got, well, not a ton, but I've got a decent number of level 30s here. And then we have rows and rows and rows of level 3 stars with no food in them. And then you can see I'm using the reserve vault as well. We've got rows and rows and rows and rows and rows and rows and rows of 3 stars, right? And the reason we use 3 stars is because, like I said, they are a little more efficient than in terms of space than 2 stars, and you get 20 points for putting in 1 brew and 10 points for putting in 2 brews, getting it up to level 15 because you get 2 points per level. After rank 3. For rank 4, we want to put 3 brews into the rank 4. That'll get us level 18. We get 3 points for level, which will give us 12 points for the last brew. And after that, we'll start getting less than the 10, which is our minimum. For rank 5, I put a lot of brews, actually. We could put 8 brews into a rank 5 champion, and the lowest amount of points we get per brew is 12. And then for rank 6, it's a little tricky because you have right here, you get 16 up to 7 brews, and then brew 8 and 9 only give you 8, but then brew 10 gives you 16 because you get 2 levels from going 28 to 30, and so this averages out a little bit higher than the 10-point minimum cutoff that we use, so you can put 10 brews in a 6-star champion. So that's kind of like your brew strategy, and then the way you get all these champions is by farming the dungeons with teams that are incomplete, basically teams with food in them. So the way I've been doing this here on my free-to-play account is I've been farming a ton of spider over the last week and a half or so, using Artac as a solo spider farm with 4 food in him, and that's how I've been able to level up all this food. Once you hit like mid-game or end-game, you basically never ever want to farm the campaign unless you need to like farm a champion or something in there. But on my main account, I farm the bare minimum. I find 500 campaign battles every month on normal difficulty, and that's it. And if I didn't have the monthly quests to do that, I wouldn't even do that at all. I would never touch campaign outside of like just the quests. Basically, that's the only thing you care about, because there's absolutely no reason to farm campaign when you can farm dungeons with food. You can use brews to get the event points, and then pick up like your legendary tomes every single event, and that's what I'm going to do on my main account, no problem, and that's what I'm going to do on the free-to-play account. So if we look at sort of the way these brews break down, I think it's also useful to know how many brews or how many points you get per brew on average. So because you also get brews or get points when you rank up the champions. So in here, we're only looking at basically junk brews. These are brews we're putting into food that is getting totally wasted. We're leveling this food up, we're getting the points, and then the food just goes and gets fed into something that's getting ranked up, and it gets completely wasted. The only caveat to that is sometimes we leave a bunch of level 15s, 3 stars, that we put in the sparring pit, or we level after the fact to replenish those max level, like the level 33 stars that are going to become the rank up champions for the next cycle. You can keep some extra plus 15s around, but the point is the vast majority of this XP just gets wasted. But that being said, it's a little more tricky than that if we want to actually think about how many brews we need, because we do get points for the rank up. So even though we're wasting the brews here, every time we rank up, or every time we take 3 rank 3 champions to level 15, we can also do a rank up, and then take it to rank 4, and then put 3 brews in that and get another 18 points. So let's see, I did the math here just a second. Let me pull it up on my calculator. So every time we run this, we get 90 points for the 3 level 15 30s, right? So we put 2 brews in, we get level 15, we get 2 points each, 30 points, right? We do that 3 times, we get 90 points. Then we rank it up, which gives us another 50 points. And then we take that 4-star and we put 3 brews into that, which gives us another, what is that? 18 times 3 is another, another 54 points. So in total, I think we end up using 9 brews, and we get, where did it go? We get 100, no, is that right? 168 points? Sorry, I should have written this down. Where did I put it? Yes, 106, no. Dang it, I should have edited this. Hold on, I'll type it in again. We've got our 90, we've got our 50, and then we've got 18 times 3. Yeah, 90 plus 50 plus 18 times 3 is 194 points, and we use 9 brews to do it, which translates to 21.5 points for every brew that we use. And if we look at this event, we can see that this one here requires 12,000 points to finish. So if we, and that's the least efficient way to farm it, right? These are only the brews we're taking into 3 stars and then ranking up to 4 stars and then putting the brews in that. It's not including any of the like 4-star or 5-star champions that were also that made like independently outside of that, and it's not including any XP that or any levels that we generate while we're farming during the event. It's just purely off of brews. So if we had 12,000 points and then we averaged 21.5 each, we're looking at about 556 brews to get a legendary book purely off of brewing your champions with no external leveling at all. So that's actually like a fairly reasonable number. This is my free-to-play account. I completed the last champion training. I did some campaign farming back then because it was a little earlier on in the account. We were still doing that. But you can see I've got plenty of brews. I've got more than enough to get this done just off of brewing. And since I'm going to be continuing to level champions while this event is going on, we won't even need that max amount of brews. But yeah, I mean, that's the general strategy. Level up your food while farming the dungeons, brew your 3-star food twice, feed it into a 4-star, and then brew that 3 times. 5 stars you brew 7 times, and 6 stars you can brew 10 times. And there you go. You can just use brews and silver. It costs about 4 million silver to use all the brews with that sort of worst case scenario. But this is one of the most reliable ways to get legendary books outside of potentially clan boss, which is still RNG at the end of the day. So yeah, I strongly recommend you take advantage of this. If you're wondering, how do you get legendary books? Why can't I book any of my champions as a free-to-play player? I need to spend money. You don't, actually. You just need to start leveling food before these events happen and be prepared so that every time there's a champ training event, you're probably going to have a legendary tome in there, and you can use this brew method to pick it up. So I hope you found this useful. If you did, please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next update tomorrow for the free-to-play Mystery Shard series. Have a good one. Cheers.